welcome to Monday's edition of the Regional News. We begin with news from Haiti. Haiti's government declared a state of emergency on Sunday evening following violent clashes in the capital that have damaged communications and led to 2 prison breaks as a major gang leader seeks to oust Prime Minister Ariel Henry. In order to restore order, the government has imposed with immediate effect a curfew throughout the West Territory for a quote-unquote renewable period of 72 hours, end of quote, the statement said. Law enforcement, firefighters, ambulance drivers, health personnel, and duly identified journalists would not have to comply with the curfew, the statement added. The emergency decree follows a dramatic escalation in violence over the weekend that has paralyzed parts of the capital, damaged communications, and led to 2 prison breaks, including one of the country's largest prisons. The chairman of DACIA, a major telecoms provider to the Caribbean country, said that lines had been affected following days of street violence in parts of the capital. Field teams on Sunday afternoon managed to fully restore the connection. DACIA chairman Martin Boot said in a post on X, thanks to quote-unquote brave technicians who worked tirelessly in very precarious conditions to make this possible, end of quote, he added. Heavy gunfire has caused panic in recent days after calls by gang leader Jimmy Trezier, former police officer, for criminal groups to unite and overthrow Henry. Trezier heads an alliance of gangs and faces sanctions from the UN and United States. Armed groups on Saturday night attacked the country's largest prison, defying Haitian police forces who had called for help. The National Penitentiary on Sunday, where there were no signs of police officers and the main prison doors remained open. The body of 3 inmates who had attempted to flee lay dead in the courtyard of the jail complex on Sunday. Nearly 15,000 people have been forced to leave their homes in recent days, with 10 sites hosting internally displaced people emptied over the weekend, according to the UN International Organization for Migration, IOM. Prime Minister Henry, who came to power in 2021 after the assassination of the country's last president, had previously pledged to step down by early February. He later said security must first be re-established in order to ensure free and fair elections. While in Trinidad, police believe a disagreement with a party-goer was the motive behind the killing of disc jockey Elijah Sugars Bob on Sunday morning. Bob, 24, who was employed with Red 96.7 FM and lived at La Puerta Diego Martin, was shot when gunmen opened fire on a car he was seated in just after 8 a.m. He later died at the Port of Spain General Hospital, POSGH. He was in the back seat of a silver Honda City with 2 other people after a party at Eastern Quarry Road, Palm Trace, Laventel, around 8:10 a.m. The car was driven by a 20-year-old man from 6th Street, Barataria, while a 34-year-old female relative of Bob from Wharton Street, Laventel, was in the front passenger seat. As they were driving out of the area, gunmen began shooting at the car. When the driver and passenger realized Bob had been shot multiple times and was bleeding profusely, they drove to Besson Street Police Station and were later escorted to the POSGH, where Bob was pronounced dead on arrival. Bob's parents identified his body at the hospital. Crime scene investigators reportedly recovered several 9mm spent shell casings at the scene. And finally, news from St. Martin. A large quantity of drugs was seized by law enforcement in St. Martin during a recent operation. The Dutch Caribbean Coast Guard reported customs officers suspected that a container aboard a vessel that visited the port of St. Martin last week was carrying illicit items, quote-unquote. Consequently, they requested the assistance of the Coast Guard for a joint inspection of the suspicious container. Upon inspection, they discovered 20 bales of drugs with approximately 470 kilograms of marijuana, end of quote, the Coast Guard reported. The drugs were handed over to the police and it was later destroyed. Investigations into the matter are ongoing. I'm DACIA Richards. Thank you for watching. Until next time.